everyone, welcome. Welcome to Growing Wild series. I'd like to thank our sponsor, NEC Co-op Energy. My name is Miss Patty, and I work here at the Early Scholars Academy. Today, we're going to talk about tracks. And let's see, what kind of tracks do you find about your house? Do you have a pet at home? Sometimes when it rains, does your pet walk on the grass and then you see tracks on the sidewalk? Or what about some of the birds around your house or your apartment? Or do you go out and see the birds? Do they leave tracks on the sidewalk too? Well, we're going to discover where we can find some tracks. Okay, so to get started, we are going to make some tracks. Okay, so the materials that you're going to need are some sponges. I have some chenille stems or pipe cleaners that they used to call them. I have some ink pads, pieces of cardboard. If you have a cardboard box that you received a package in, you can just ask your parents if you can take off the lids and then make a little square for you. Okay, I'm going to need some glue, scissors, and some markers. Okay, now we're going to make like a little bird footprint. So I have two chenille stems. I'm going to bend one right here. So that's going to be how long it is. And the other one, I'm going to wrap it around. So I have three. So I'm going to make sure I wrap this and twist it. I love these things because you can twist them all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Now, usually, and then also in once you receive your information, you're going to get a little track. And so you can make some prints. I'm going to make a little bird print or a little chicken print. Okay, so I'm going to bend some of the chenille stems, just bend it in half like this, kind of make it, and then have one come out to the back part. So this is my little chicken footprint I'm going to make. So that's one way you can make some prints. Maybe some of you live on a farm or your grandparents, and then you see different tracks on the ground. Now another one is you're going to use a sponge. So you can get any sponges, we got soft sponges. Let me do on the yellow so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at my chart and let's see. I think I am going to make probably a little cow print, a cow footprint, a hoof print. So what I'm going to do is, my cow is right there. It looks almost like a deer or the moose because they have that hoof. Okay, so I'm going to kind of follow it. I'm going to do one side. I'm using a marker just to get my outline. Like this. And then, okay, and then come down and like that. Sort of like that. So what I'm going to do now, cut it out. That's why I have do that outline. Come down, straight down here this way. One. Come down straight, and then I'm going to go around. And two. All right. Now I've got my little cardboard here, and I'm going to glue on my footprint. So I'm going to put it kind of close. I have my glue. You can use a glue stick, liquid glue, but make sure you let it dry. I don't have time to let it dry, but I'm going to just kind of show you how it goes. And then you can use a glue stick, but make sure you use plenty of glue so it can stick. Okay. Like that. So that's my cow. Okay. Now let me see what else I can make. What about a hare? A rabbit. So I'm going to look at my chart and kind of look at it. Sometimes, you know, if you draw something that doesn't look exactly like it, but like all fingerprints, even though we have the fingers, they all are different. sort of like this. That looks like a human foot. But we'll say it's my hair, my rabbit. So I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to have to go around the little toe area. Sometimes it's not very good. If you kind of mess up a little bit, it's okay. You know, you always try. No, it doesn't hurt if you don't try. And I think I made it too small. So some of the tracks are pretty good, like the cow. We can use like a half sponge. I think if I would have made it this big, I think I can get his little toes in. So you're gonna have to look. Does that have pretty thin, or is very like your elephant, or you know, maybe the hippo? Maybe I need to use a bigger piece of sponge and not so little. So, okay, now I'm gonna put this on another one. And we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do a half a cardboard. That way I can save the other piece of cardboard for something else. Throw this to my side, like, now I have a piece of paper here. I'll put mine right there. And then I have my prints, I have my cow. Like I said, we gotta let it dry, it fell off. My rabbit, and also have my little chicken. Now, I have some ink pads here. You can use ink pad, you can use paint if you have it, or if you have a watercolor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the rabbit, and I'm going to kind of press it down, get some of that ink on to my sponge. I need more. It's getting there. Go around. Sometimes when you store your ink pads, make sure you store them flat. If you tilt them, all the ink is going to go to one spot. So you might have to put it on a level area and let it sit. So here I got this one. I'm going to put it right here. Oh, look at that. Looks sort of like my footprint. I'm going to try my cow next. Let's see. Maybe I'll try it with the blue. Let's see, that would look pretty cool. All right, here comes my cow prints. Cow prints. Oh, I think the blue one's gonna work. I think the blue one was probably laying flat. That's why all the ink is on there. I just press, press, press. I got my ink on there, and press down. There's my cow print. So you can reuse them, wash them off a little bit, or let it dry and kind of wash them off and reuse them. Now let's try our little chicken. I'm going to put it on with my fingers. It's okay if I get ink, I can always wash my hands. You always wash your hands after you do your artwork. Okay. And let's see what happens. I'll get this up. And I'm gonna press, press, press. Aha, look at that, my little chicken print there. Let me get my wiping. I'll keep some handy just in case I get my fingers with ink. It's okay, it comes off. All right. And I'm going to put that there, let that kind of dry off a little bit. So those are the prints. And you can do all kinds of prints that you want. You know what? What if you did your hand? Maybe find a sponge, or do your finger, or do find you got a baby brother or sister, you can do a sponge print on them too. Ask your parents' permission. Always ask. Okay? Or you know what? Go outside and then maybe if you can wet the sidewalk and then walk on it, and then walk on a dry part of the sidewalk. See if you have your shoe print on there. Or watch the birds. Sometimes with the water, the birds will leave prints all over the place. I'm going to put that right here. Okay. Now, my next one, this is a fun one. This is my dino track. Now, how many of you know that we had dinosaurs in the state of Texas? Also, if you go to the Dino Valley State Park, you will see dinosaur tracks in the water and the riverbeds. Sometimes they cover up, and those are pretty spectacular to look at. For this one, you're going to need some information on one of the Texas dinosaurs. What you can do is you can look up Texas dinosaurs, and then you can always find some information on the measurements. So we did have a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the state of Texas, okay, in the southwest Texas, the Big Bend area. So I have some information. Now, Tyrannosaurus means tyrant lizard. So now this dinosaur, I made a track. I got my ruler, yardstick, and I got the information, how long and how wide the dinosaur track was. So it was at least 139 inches long, over 1 meter long. And then it was, I believe, yep, about 45 centimeters wide. So I got those measurements and I looked at a dinosaur track. And what I did is I made my dino track, my dino footprints. So this is, I may be off of about a few centimeters, okay? This is about how big the dinosaur footprint of the Tyrannosaurus Rex left in the state of Texas. So that's pretty big. Now, what else you can do is get your shoes and then see how many shoes can you put on that dinosaur track to see how many shoes it is. Okay, maybe get your younger brother or sister, they have smaller shoes, and use that, see how many long that track is with those shoes. Okay, that will be pretty fun. And then you can always look up different kinds of dinosaurs that live in the state of Texas. And then you can kind of get the measurements of what their footprint look like. Okay, yeah. So that one's pretty cool. I like that. And I found a lot about Texas dinosaurs. Now, how many have you gone to the beach and you found tracks in the sand? I'm going to get a little bit, another tray, just in case the sand comes off. It's on another tray. Okay, I have some sand here. We're going to also use some of the footprints that we made. Okay, now I'm going to smooth this off. Let's see if I can smooth it off a little bit. Get my ruler and use it to smooth. Now, how many of you found tracks at the beach and wondered what kind of animal made those tracks? It could be seagulls, sandpipers, crabs. It could be also sea turtles. Now, this is the time when a lot of sea turtles are coming up on Padre Island to lay their eggs. So if you are ever at the beach and you see a sea turtle going along the beach, just leave it alone and call the park rangers. There's phone numbers listed at the park or the beach area where you can call them and tell them. That way they can send someone out to make sure that the animal stays safe, okay? So let's see, I have some dry sand here. Let's see if we can make some footprints in the dry sand. So I'm going to go and press. Aha, it is. Press and press. I made little tracks in the sand. So you can get some sand and then do the same thing. Let's see if our cow can leave some prints. All right, let's see. Press down on the cow. It did, it made a little indentation here. So what I'm gonna do next is add some water to it. Make some wet sand. Let's see if we can get a bigger imprint, more visible. Let that soak up a little bit. I'm going to use my spoon. I'm going to use the other end of the spoon just to kind of move this about. Now, we all leave tracks. We all leave footprints behind. So some of the animals do too. So you could be an investigator and find out what animal left what print in your area. What kind of bird? Are all the birds the same? What about a duck or a frog? I have toads in my backyard. I see them out at night. And then when they're in the water, I leave a little dish of water for them. They get in there and they absorb some of the water through their skin. And then when they jump out, you see the prints on the ground. Okay, so let's see. Let's try our little chicken print. Let's see if I press that down. Aha, oh look, it made it blue from the ink. Let's see about my cow. Let's see about my cow print. And not so much in the wet sand, but you can see the coloring in there. It didn't leave a good enough indentation as it with the dry sand. So that's something to experiment. Does the wet sand get more of a print or the dry sand? So you can do some experimenting with that. Let me put this over here. Let's put this down. Okay. Let me get some of this stuff off the table. Here we go. Now, my next activity I have about tracks is a watercolor. How many of you like to watercolor? Okay. So what you can do, you can find color pages that you can use. If you have a coloring book, you can use those to use the watercolor. Some of you buy the watercoloring books. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do my T-Rex. Okay. Let's see, I'm going to put it right here. Let's bring this down like that. Okay, so I have my watercolor, and I have a cup of water, like this. And then I might need my sponge. I'll keep that here in case I spill. What happens if you spill? It's okay. You make sure when you're working with water, make sure you have like a little towel or a sponge you can use. You can ask your mom or your dad, aunt, uncle, or wherever you are, if you can have a little towel, paper towel, or sponge in case you do spill water. You can do that. Now, the watercolor, you can do your own. Maybe trace your hand. We can do that. You can maybe trace your hand and do that. Or maybe you trace your foot and do your own footprint. Trace your foot. That'd be pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the watercolor. You can blend all the watercolor together. You can make different sections, green, different sections, blue. Let me get this. I got my little wipey. Okay, and I'm going to change color, so I kind of wiped it off. Now watercolor, you can do anything you want. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of red. Now I'm going to try to stay in the line, but you don't have to, because once you're done, I'm going to go outside the line. It's okay. Once I'm done and it dries, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out, and then I can put it on a different paper, maybe a darker color, and make it like a frame. Need a little bit more water in my yellow. A little bit more. And I'm sure you guys have coloring books. Or remember, like I said, you can make your own print. Let's do some blue. I'm going to go a little bit of the blue around this edge like that. Maybe I do it on the other side too. This is your watercolor. You can do it any way you want. You can blend it in, all the colors. Get a little purple. blend it all. Now you don't want to get too much water on your paper, then it gets like a big hole. It gets too wet and what the paper will absorb all that water. Okay. So you can do something like this as your own watercolor. Now remember, okay, pretend it's dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out. Go all the way around my foot. That way, if you paint towards the end and you went out the line, it's okay. You don't have to paint within the line. There's no rules, it says paint in the line. That's just a pattern. That's a guide to know, what you're painting. Or you know how when you draw something and you draw like a tree and you draw the outline of a tree, that's your guide. But where the leaves will go, the tree bark will go. Or even if you draw a flower, that's your guide to know where the petals are going to go, how big the petals are going to be, how many petals. So when you draw an outline to something, you are making a guideline. So you know where you're going to paint, what it might look like, and then you just, yeah, see, there's my dino footprint. And then, let's see if I have my paper. No. But see, you could always do this, and then you can always put it on that and glue that. That could be like your picture frame. You can do a different color. Let's pretend this is red paper. Maybe you do this. See how it stands out? Maybe you can glue that onto a red piece of paper. It's up to you. I'm going to let this dry right over here. Okay. Areas that we make sure everything's put back in its place. Put that there. I'm not going to need this water anymore or my sponge. Okay. I'm going to need, guess what? Oops, I got some sand on here. All right. So we talked about tracks and where we can find tracks at the beach, our backyard, our front yard. After it rains, we'll go look out and see what's wet, what's dry, see if any of the animals left tracks. Now, if something left a track, what do you think might happen after that? What about scat? Aha, scat is animal poop. And we're gonna make some animal poop. So, I have my chart of animal scat. There's going to be a chart attached to this presentation, and then you can make some animal scat. Now, what you're going to need, let me get my tray. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to need some water. I got a couple of bowls here, I might need that. You're going to need flour. I already dumped some flour out in my bowl. Okay. Some water, flour, my spoon I'm going to need. I'm going to use another bowl. I'm going to need measuring cups, measuring spoons, salt, and cocoa mix. Now, if you had hot chocolate mix left over in the cabinet, you can use that. Or if you have cocoa powder, make sure you ask your parents if you can have a couple of tablespoons of cocoa powder to mix in with your scat making Play-Doh. Excuse me, Miss Patty needs a little drink. Sometimes my mouth gets awful dry. So, okay, now the recipe is in there. I'm going to need 1 cup of flour. So I got my measuring cups here, and I'm going to measure 1 cup of flour, get my spoon, kind of put, I'm going to put some flour in my cup. I'm going to get all that, fill it all the way up to the top, and then you're going to smooth it out. This is how you measure 1 cup of flour, okay, until you get 1 cup. Okay, 1 cup of flour. All right. Then you're going to need a 1/4 cup of water. So I have that. And then I have a 1/4 cup. I have some water in here. So let me get my 1/4 cup, a 1/4 cup of water right in here. 1/4 cup of water. Okay. Next, I'm going to need a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of salt. So I have my salt here. Now I'm going to need that 1/4 cup again. Oh, that's a 1/3, and that's a 1/4. They're labeled on the cup. So I need a 1/4 cup of salt. I'm going to kind of measure it like that, plus 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to get my measuring spoons out. Look for a tablespoon. The tablespoon is usually the largest of the measuring spoons that I have. So I need 2 tablespoons of salt. So put this way, 1, 2. Okay. Now a 1/2 tablespoon of oil, and I do have a 1/2 tablespoon on my measuring spoons, and I do have some oil. I only need a 1/2 tablespoon. Oh, there we go. That's good. Let me cover that up since I don't want it to spill. All right. Now, next is the cocoa powder mix. Okay. Now, it all depends how much you want. A tablespoon or 2 will do. If you want it darker, get a darker scat, you can do that. I kind of make sure that my cocoa powder is not the one with the marshmallows in there. I think I'm going to put 2 tablespoons. Okay. Fill that up. I can always save this to make more. Okay. Now you are, see, and then you're going to start stirring. Stir, 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 stir. Mix it all up. Keep going. See, it's getting there. It's not as brown as I want. So what are we going to do? What we're going to have to do to make it a little bit more brown? Add a little bit more of my cocoa powder. I think I'll add the whole rest of the packet. So it's probably like 3 to 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder, or 1 packet. Let's see. Trying to make sure it comes together. So you might get your hand in there and start mixing it up. Now, if it kind of looks too dry, this kind of looks a little bit dry, I'm going to add a little bit more water. Now, you just add a few drops of water at a time. Not too much, then it'll get too sticky. If that happens, you just add a little bit more flour. So you just want a nice consistency where you can kind of make your own scat. Let's think about it. What kind of animals do we see that make scat? We all see dog poo, cat poo. What about bird poo? Do we see that on our parents' cars on there? Yeah, we do that. Okay. It's coming together. It takes a little while, so be patient. It's going to get there. I need to add a little bit more of water. There you go. Okay. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to get like a handful. You can keep going and mixing until all of yours is mixed. See, I haven't mixed it all up. So I'm going to just use this part right here that I got in my hand, okay? And that way I can show it to you. That right there. Okay, let me get my little tray. Okay, so I have my tray here, have my Play-Doh, and we're going to make some scat. I got my chart. Let's see. Oh, deer scat. If you ever go out in the forest, or if you go where there's deer, they leave like little balls of scat. So it kind of looks like this. That is like deer scat. But kind of mix it up. Okay. What about coyote scat? How about that? That looks kind of long and gross looking. So I'm going to kind of put this together. It needs a little bit more water. You can, okay? It's going to look like that. How would you like to find that? What about, oh, whoever has a guinea pig at home, when you have to change that cage, what do you see in there? You see their scat too. It looks like little long pieces, right? Little long pieces. And what about a rabbit? If you have a rabbit, they make little balls. Okay, they make little balls of scat. Okay. So you can do all sorts of things with scat. Now remember, this is kind of dry, so you can add a little bit more water, because I think because of the powder of the chocolate, we need a little bit more water in there. So you can kind of put water in there and mix it up until you get a nice Play-Doh type consistency, okay? So we've got the deer scat, coyote scat, the rabbit scat, guinea pig scat, all sorts of scat in our Play-Doh. So this kind of be pretty fun, okay? Boys and girls and my families, I want to thank you for joining us today. My name is Miss Patty. I'm with the Early Scholars Academy. I'd like to thank NEC Co-op Energy for sponsoring the Growing Wild event. So I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.